Hey guys, welcome back to doremicom channel. A lot of you guys don't know this, but John and I have been working in conjunction with one another on his game system. He started with this idea. I kind of ran forward with the idea of wanting to learn how to, and I can't stand my camera constantly going out of focus, but we're going to try to do what we can. I ran forward with wanting to learn how to program for Androids, and I needed an idea of what I could program. So I went to John and I said, "Hey John, I know you're working on a system, and would you mind if I went ahead and started writing up like an Android app for it originally?" And we kind of went through the notion first of doing an army list. I mean, John, you can kind of go into, what you thought of kind of applying kind of electronic idea to your tabletop game. I don't want to step on your idea.
Right. Well, I mean, the first thought that when we started talking about the game system was that if we got an electronic version of it, that would save people the intro cost into the game, so I could get immediate feedback on balance issues, play issues, stuff like that. And so when I was going into it, that helped a lot, and I was just basically focusing on how the system interacts with itself. And I wanted to do a D10 system to try and differentiate myself from like the Games Workshop, Privateer Press stuff. But that raised an entire new bag of issues, because with the D6 system, you at least have something to go off of. When you're going in with the D10 system, you have like very little to go off of.
Because it's not like using the D20 system that there's so much history with Wizards of the Coast and licensing off the D20 system that it was easy to incorporate it all. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on what you were saying. Go ahead.
No, that's absolutely right. And with the D20 system, it felt too complicated, too clunky. I wanted to keep it simple and keep the math to a minimum. So D10 was a good range for me, but really it came down to balancing the D10, and the math wasn't exactly where I wanted it to be. So I wanted it to just drop it down a little bit, and I came up with the D9 system, but they're hard to find and not really great. So I brought it over to doremicom.
So I originally, and this is kind of where we need to get you guys feedback on this, because what I ended up doing was I started taking a look at other games that kind of existed on the DS or the PSP in order to develop kind of a gaming system so that we could use it applying all the logic from John's core system, but still apply a D9 to it. And I started getting inspiration from games like Warlords, where they use Bejeweled to kind of identify when you can cast spells. And I just happened to be kind of looking through kind of like what other people have been doing, and I came across Brain Age, and I was thinking, you know what? You need a D9. What if you somehow incorporated like a speed version of Sudoku in order to determine what the available numbers were that could be rolled for the game? And if you think about it, it kind of sets up a very level playing field. Each player has only 9 9s that can be rolled and only 9 8s that can be rolled, and each, as you kind of go down. The complexity then of the game, in order to determine whether or not you're playing like an easy, medium, or hard version, would be how many numbers from the get-go were already on the Sudoku board to determine, like, so for instance, in order to solve a Sudoku, you need to like have like 10 or 11 numbers already predefined for you. If you play on the hard level, 9 would already be out there. So then when you solve for an 8, you'd get the 8. But one of the 9s that were already on the board, you couldn't use in the game system. And I'm not quite sure how you guys, do you guys think that is a viable option? I mean, we've already seen, cards being used in games like Malifaux. We've already seen, all kinds of different dice games, ranging from 1d6 to 2d6 and War Machine D20s. John and I kind of wanted to bring this out to you guys to kind of get some feedback and see if there's, what you guys thought. So if you can, leave some comments in the description below.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, John, if you got more.
I was just about to say, from like a development standpoint, the Sudoku, I'm not even going to get into that, but I call it Sudoku, opens up an entire ability for variability and randomness, because if you miss that number, you miss the hit. And so it can really just lead to some really neat situations where it's completely based on skill while having that randomness factor. It's like, you know, if you're good at Sudoku because you're smart and you can figure out the numbers, you're going to have a little bit of an increased chance, but it's always, early on you might not be so high.
Because you're kind of leaving your game almost in the notion of, honestly, people who are smarter in math are going to do better, you would think.
Right. So it's encouraging thinking, which is good.
Exactly.
And then from an aesthetic standpoint, I thought about having on the unit entry tables, you can all have like little boxes of Sudoku that you can fill out. So, you know, you're playing one game and every page of the core rulebook will have boxes of Sudoku that you can just go through and fill out. Or if you're like on a long airplane trip and you want to bring it for some reading because there'll be fluff in it, you can play some Sudoku on the plane too.
Kind of introducing basically practice rounds.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, and it adds some level of, like I said, randomness, but at the same time, standardization, where it's not just a D10, this is how the boxes always look. So.
Well, and it definitely adds a layer of differentiation for your game specifically. I mean, it really and truly does. I don't think there's not a one tabletop strategy game right now that's using Sudoku as a means to determine success and failures in the game. For you guys who want some more behind-the-scenes note on exactly what we're talking about, because we actually created an app that you can download. All you have to do is look at this particular QR code that's on the screen. Check it out on your smartphone, and it will actually bring down or send you to a URL where you can find out information on how you can download the app. Unfortunately, we don't have anything on like Android Market, but there's still a way to install it. All you have to do is check out, like I said, this QR code. Have a good one, guys. Okay, I can't. I was losing it towards the end, man. I couldn't hold it.
I was dying at the end of that. The last two sentences you said, when you're like, I don't think any other game uses this, I had to bite my cheek. I was trying so hard not to laugh.